Hey, deserving listeners, Love is Blind. My name is Dr. Kirk Honda. I'm a therapist and a professor. If you are a cast member on this show, keep in mind that everything I say is based on the edit of a reality TV show and should not replace a proper in-person assessment and clinical treatment, of course. Let's watch.
So, did you actually break up with Leo or no?
Girl, I tried. Like, he wouldn't let me.
Oh, I hate that for Brittany.
When I think...
All right, so there's a lot of problems with what she just said. One is that she is saying that he didn't let her, meaning that she tried and he refused to let her make her own choice about her relationships. It's also a problem because it is not how breakups work. If you break up with someone and the other person says, no, I refuse, then as the dumper, you say, I'm sorry, but it's happening. I realize you don't want it to happen, but it's happening. So it also illuminates, once again, that she doesn't really know what she wants and or has a hard time asserting herself.
Of Leo and Brittany, it worries me because, like, she's freaking wonderful, and I thought Leo was wonderful. I never want to be manipulated, and that's kind of what I felt like he was doing to me. I think she deserves to know how he reacted. He was yelling at me. He was like, if I propose to you right now, if I get money right now.
Okay, yeah. These conversations can sometimes go really poorly and can be seen as conniving, manipulative. You can't see on your screen, but on mine, Hannah is talking to Brittany. And I am learning now that Brittany and Hannah are actually friends, which is good to see. And Hannah is going to Brittany saying, look, I'm not, she didn't say this directly, but it has that vibe of, I'm not trying to get in anyone's way, but you should just know that when I told him that I was going to break up, because they had celebrated that Hannah had chosen Nick, and Hannah is now, I wonder if Hannah will tell Brittany, he kind of convinced me to not really break up with him. Or if Hannah will say he didn't let me break up. So it's good that Hannah is telling Brittany so Brittany knows.
What will you say? What will you say? Like, are you going to say yes? Like, I don't care if you love him, blah, 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 blah. I don't know if he's just like spiraling or if he's confused. And I did not want to sway your opinion, but I felt like if he was saying that shit to you, I would want to know.
Yeah.
I don't want to be with someone like that.
I appreciate you telling me.
Yeah.
And then Hannah says, if I were in your shoes, I wouldn't want to be with someone like that. So is that Hannah trying to manipulate? Or is Hannah saying he was very emphatic and energetic about not letting me go, but I don't think he's been that way with you?
I don't know. I think I just need to shut up, but...
No, it is all good.
Okay. Like,
But
I feel like when you think I'm like crying or like upset or something because like of you or something, it's just like, honestly, I don't even care about him. I didn't want to hurt your feelings, you know?
I know. I needed a drink.
Yeah, it's more ticks in the column of Hannah not being super invested and just not really knowing what she wants, given the way that she was talking there. It was almost like she was just informing a friend about this random guy, but she's informing Brittany about presumably the guy that she might marry, right? And it just doesn't really come across that way. You'd think Hannah would have a different way of communicating that, or have more emotion about that.
I was very direct.
You want some clarity?
I want some clarity, and she was so emotional that she literally could not form words. It wasn't what I was saying, it was the tone of what I was saying. I wish I could have been more like, Brittany, I'm really confused. And I'm sorry. Hannah.
Get it out now.
I'm like, Hannah, what am I, now I lost my train of thought.
It's not unusual to mess up people's names, but it looks like he isn't actually interested in either one because he can't keep them straight. Nick is listening nearby and obviously has a vested interest in this conversation and starts laughing when he hears that his competitor for presumably the love of his life is seemingly confused about Brittany and Hannah. I don't know. It's interesting thus far, the contrast between the couples that seem to have regular connections and these four. There's just so many odd behaviors with the four.
It's not saying she's not strong.
Yeah.
It's about the strength you're willing to give. And she was not willing to give me that strength. She was like, she didn't want to sit there and talk. Like, that's very telling.
Our feelings for each other were reaffirmed yesterday and are very strong. Like I'm not gonna lie, dude. We told each other we loved each other like 10 times.
Dude.
And she's like, I know you're the one. Not to take anything from your conversation.
She may come down and...
Okay, it's just so hard to relate to any of these people. And it's such a weird situation. But if you're Nick, hearing from Leo that Hannah was very distraught and crying a lot, that would concern you, right? And would make you wonder if it's a secure relationship, unless you're... So, okay, what would explain it? Definitely issues of relational traumas at play, which to varying degrees everyone has, but theirs might be on, to a larger degree on display. For Nick, if I just try on for size that he, at the very least, is not as invested as others, maybe even not really invested at all and just playing a game to get to the next phase, then it kind of fits. It's also possible that he's just not good at communicating or showing his feelings. For Leo, if we try and emphasize that this also is not really about finding true mutual love and is more about trying to prolong as much attention towards him, because, and they're editing it, but when he's even in the lounge, there's a lot of footage of him just taking up a lot of space. And maybe they're just editing that part in because it's relevant to the storyline, but it's not hard to imagine that he might do this a lot. Who knows? So that, kind of fits. And then with Hannah, if we try and emphasize that she just doesn't really know what she wants and is used to going along with what other people want her to do for various reasons, that fits. And if for Brittany, if we go with that she has a lot of traumas that make her feel like she's not worth it, that she's always going to be passed over for another woman, and she resorts to this trophy wife persona as a way of having self-esteem, but again, doesn't really know what she wants. Maybe all four of them don't really know what they want, and maybe that's why it's odd to watch and their behavior is so different and odd. It would explain a lot. Yeah. What do you think?
Hi.
Hi.
I'm so sorry, Hannah. Like, the way I treated you last night to raise my voice when you were in such a vulnerable state, it was unbecoming of me as a man, and honestly, I will regret how I acted for the rest of my days.
Okay, that's a lot for the rest of your days. That's maybe true, but it could be exaggeratory. So we're, I think, learning that they're on the final day, is my guess, and this is the proposal day 10 in the pods, and he is apologizing for raising his voice with her last night. It's good that he's apologizing.
I'm so sorry.
It was overwhelming. I don't think I've cried that hard in my life. I completely agree. There's that, I feel the passion, but I don't think I've ever experienced that before, being treated like that, I guess. I felt shame, an embarrassment, because that is not me. I literally haven't cried in probably 10 years. I don't cry. It's insane.
Okay, so we're hearing a few things. It sounds like she felt abused and intimidated, scared, and hurt, which is understandable. We're also hearing that she hasn't really, she says she hasn't cried that much maybe in her life. And, we didn't see all the crying, but I would hope that her and everyone have a chance to cry about lots of things. There's a lot of reasons to cry throughout the day and week and year. And she's saying that she hasn't really cried in 10 years, which is interesting. It's not necessarily an indication of this, but it would be a red flag for stuffing of emotions and feeling shamed for having emotions. She also said she felt shamed. I don't know shame. I don't know if she just felt ashamed or if she felt shamed by him or both.
Like I was like just getting like put in a corner and I couldn't move.
And that's on me.
Yeah, she is using a lot of words along the lines of being harmed, intimidated, abused, and he is taking responsibility for that.
That was such a horrible side of me. I'm not going to try and justify it or make excuses, but do you at least forgive me?
Yeah, I do.
Thank you.
You are like such a fantastic person. Your story, your life, like your dedication, your ambition, like you are so fucking incredible. Like,
okay, usually when people say this means they're going to break up with him. So, or am I just hoping? I don't know what I hope for. I said this a long time ago. I kind of wish all four of these people would just go home and figure out themselves what their life is and maybe date each other post pods, but not go through the shoehorning of the show that might make them contemplate saying yes to the altar with someone that they don't necessarily know if they should be saying yes to.
You too. That's what drew me to you in the first place.
Like I loved our conversations. Like I think we had like a fabulous fucking time. With you, it was so special. It's just that like feeling that I have from my other person is just not there.
Okay, at first I thought she was saying she no longer had feelings for Nick, but I think what she's saying is the feeling I have for Nick is not there with you, I think is what she's saying.
Yeah. Fact is, we're not compatible. Honestly, like, Nick is everything that, like, I'm not. Like, he's calm, he's collected, he's wise. Personally, I think he's, like, more compassionate than I'll ever be. Nick is better for you.
Interesting. He's speaking highly of Nick, even saying that he doesn't have a lot of compassion himself and isn't wise himself. Or is this just his way of tricking people somehow? I don't know.
I know that.
It's true.
I've known that this whole entire time. He's my person, you know?
That's exactly how I feel about Brittany. I know what I want. You know what you want. You and Nick are meant to be, and me and Brittany were meant to be.
She is fantastic.
I know, like, what I put her through, like, I would understand if she fucking says no.
Hannah just rolled her eyes when he said, Brittany is the one for me. Hannah said, he's my man, he's my guy. I've always known he was my guy. Yeah, people will do that. They'll retcon these situations when we are at least seemingly seeing data to the contrary of that. It's fine. And then he just said, I would understand if Brittany would say no to me. Is that what he said?
You know what you want. You and Nick are meant to be, and me and Brittany were meant to be.
She is fantastic.
I know.
Yeah, it's just interesting to contrast this with Marissa talking to Bowden. It's so different. And the over-the-topness that Leo and Nick exhibit, this sort of these really big statements. You guys are perfect for each other. You guys are going to be that. Like, why do you have to say those things? You don't know those things. No one would know. Nobody knows. Just stick to, if you're trying to be nice or if you're trying to be complimentary, then there are things available to you that aren't stretching the bounds of reality, They're not bad things to say, but I think, what would it be? It's insincerity, I suppose, right? Or trying to manipulate, trying to get people to see you in a certain way and being really ham-fisted about it.
With like what I put her through, like, I would understand if she fucking says no. I hope that I didn't let the greatest woman in my life slip through my fingers. If there's one thing I would ask you to do for me, is I would like beg of you to tell Brittany that like it really was mutual and that like I really genuinely care for her, and like I'm honestly like I'm scared, like I don't know what she's gonna say.
Well, I don't think we've ever heard this. Why is he asking this? He's asking her, Hannah, to tell Brittany that it's mutual. What's mutual? It's mutual. It sounds like he's saying between him and Brittany. I'll rewind it. But I was thinking what he was wanting Hannah to do is, I want you to tell her that this breakup was mutual. I think that's probably what he means.
To tell Brittany that, like, it really was mutual and that, like, I really genuinely care for her. And, like, I'm honestly, like, I'm scared. Like, I don't know what she's going to say.
Yeah, I think that's what he means, is, tell her that it was mutual. Why not tell her yourself? Why would you think you would need to do that? You set this whole thing up. You were the one that waited to tell or to commit. I don't know. It's not a bad impulse, but I wouldn't ask, if I were in his shoes, I wouldn't ask Hannah to do that. Plus, if Hannah did do it, you wouldn't know what she was saying or not. Or is this just, does this hint at impression management, getting people to see him in a certain way? I don't want people to know that I was the one who got dumped. There has been a through line there. Although if he was that concerned about that, he could have broken up with Hannah earlier, right?
Genuinely care for her. And, like, I'm honestly, like, I'm scared. Like, I don't know what she's going to say. Like, I'm scared that she's going to think that I'm choosing her because, like, she's my second option. Hannah, we both broke up with each other, but, like, I just hope, like, if you, like, I don't know, if you just, like, let her know, like, how fucking much.
Yeah, not great. After essentially abusing Hannah, you're gonna apologize, and then it makes it look like you're apologizing to manipulate her again, to get her to be an ally. Also, if you truly have love, then you could just talk it out. I wonder if I were to talk with him in this moment and say, so you're worried that she will think that you're choosing her as the second option. Why do you think that? You haven't done anything to indicate that. You have been clear that both of the women were number ones, and you're claiming that you were going to break up with Hannah today anyway. You didn't lead with it. Hannah was the one that said that, and I guess as an audience, we don't know what he would have said in this moment. I wouldn't doubt that he was, although I don't know. It'd be interesting to experiment in that universe where Hannah stays in the camp of, I don't know who I want to be with, or if Hannah said, no, Leo, you're the one, who Leo would have chosen. It seems like he was always leaning towards Brittany anyway, but given the way he acted last night to I don't know if it really matters, but he is leaning in, and this is not a good reflection. Yeah. So the profile that is being exhibited by Leo is someone that acts out of desperation, but comes across like he isn't desperate, unless, the previous night when he was talking to Hannah. And out of desperation, doesn't make it okay, but he will intimidate others and manipulate others to do things that he wants them to do. Not because he just likes to pull strings, but because he has a lot of anxiety about abandonment or something, or being inferior, made to be insignificant. And he is doing it again, I think, right now. He is trying to pressure her. We could use another word for pressure, which is manipulate or intimidate, abuse her to be on her side, to be on his side, and tell Brittany it was mutual. I think most people in his shoes would just leave it off the table as to who was breaking up with who, and just hope that then see Brittany and say, hey, I thought about it, and today or last night I figured out that you're the one, and I'm so sorry for putting you through all this. Will you marry me? That kind of thing. And then if it comes up, then you say, and by the way, with Hannah, if you ever hear that she broke up with me, I was going to break up with her. Because the other thing is, like, she can, if they do get married, him and Brittany, then Brittany can watch the show and see that Hannah was the one that broke up with him. So the only thing you could really say if you're Leo is I was definitely going to break up with her as well. And I think you can kind of tell by the way I reacted or something. Anyway.
I'm sitting here talking to you, and all I can think about is just wanting to get down on one knee for Brittany. Like, it's literally all I want to do. Like, I literally...
Then why did you do that last night?
I felt like betrayed, and I felt like we were both going to be taking as much time as possible to make this, like, informed decision.
Okay, that's interesting. That's interesting. Huh. It's a little different, or it's different, but it's in the same ballpark, in the same general area that I was thinking of, in that his extreme reaction the night before was not from a place of rational thought of what's best moving forward and where is my heart and what's best for me, really. People with personality disorders, people that have active defenses, will often shoot themselves in the foot. My wife pointed out, we were watching something and someone said, shoot themselves in the foot. And she said, oh, you say that all the time. I'm like, huh, I do it. And I thought, oh, do you mean in my videos? She says, yeah, in your videos, you always say shoot yourself in the foot. Yeah, I guess that is, maybe that's on the bingo card. I don't know another phrase. Then shoot yourself in the foot. Anyway, so... and we do so often, we shoot ourselves in the foot so often. Our defenses really bite us in the ass. That's another one, right? So for him, he's saying that I reacted because of betrayal. And I think it's interesting that along the lines that I've been thinking he is an oversharer or a caller out of elephants in the room or doesn't have an editor or something, or is comfortable talking about the nuances of one's psyche, this is consistent with that. So I am prone to believe him when he says that he knows himself enough, maybe from previous interactions, that is prone to feeling betrayed. And he felt betrayed that she had decided to be with someone. He felt abandoned. I think I was saying that, right? That he might be reacting out of a fear of abandonment and desperation, not out of a fear or not out of an internal desire to have Hannah be an option or to marry Hannah. It's more out of fear than out of love. And it was shown in his behavior, and he resorted to intimidation and manipulation and control. And that's interesting. So he's saying that I thought we had an agreement, and that's definitely a distortion, right? That he would know that Hannah is interested in Nick. He would also know that Nick had been sent home almost, so it's not irrational for him to think that. And Hannah did have him as her number one, even after Nick came back. So, but at the same time, to go into the evening of day 9 and say to himself, Hannah and I have a loyalty to each other. And I'm now being told that she isn't loyal to me in that way, that she is going to go with Nick. Uh-oh, I'm losing something. I'm being abandoned. I need to do everything I can to make sure I retain this, even if it means intimidating the person into it, right? And I suppose the internet might say gaslight, but it's just more of manipulative intimidation. And she is prone to having that work on her. We could see other people on this show where no matter what he did, it wouldn't have changed, or would make it more likely that the Hannahs of the world would say, oh, now I definitely want to be with Nick, or at the very least, I definitely don't want to be with you because of the way you're treating me. But it's interesting that because he could have said so many other things if he was truly trying to put out there that he's this superior human being. He wouldn't say this. This sounds more on the borderline side of things. And I'm not diagnosing him by any means. I'm not even hinting at it. I'm not saying I'm not diagnosing him, meaning that I kind of am. I'm not. In my head, in my heart, like there's none of that. When I diagnose people, it takes months. And even then, it's a bit tentative because it takes time to really get to know people and their reactivity. But with people who are narcissistic, with people who are borderline, with people who are histrionic, they all have underlying issues that are very similar with abandonment and attachment disruption, attachment injury, and lack of a sense of connection with the self. And so it's really interesting. Well, let's rewind.
I felt like betrayed, and I felt like we were both going to be taking as much time as possible to make this like informed decision.
Yeah, betrayed. I think what he's referring to is he had a distortion of loyalty between the two of them, and he was self-centeredly thinking that that was the only loyalty that she would have. When people are neglected early in life, I don't know if he has been, but for a 1-year-old child, for example, they think and need to think of their parents as prioritizing them in their lives, right? And that's often what happens. Parents will prioritize their young children, even potentially over other siblings, other children, at least in the amount of effort that you put into, because, a 1-year-old needs a lot more care than an 8-year-old, right? So the child needs that and craves it because it's possible we evolved as very social creatures and helpless creatures when we're very young to elicit that. And when it's not happening, we react against it. We cry and say, pay attention to me. And that's normal. If you don't get that when you're very young, you might retain that need into adulthood. And there's also this delusion or distortion that a very young person will have, that I'm the only person in the universe. My feelings matter more than I'm the only one with feelings. My parents don't have feelings. My siblings don't. I'm the only one. My feelings are everything and nothing else matters. And when we see a 1 or 2-year-old exhibiting that, we don't think of them as narcissistic. We just think of them as a 1 or 2-year-old. But if you don't have enough of your needs fulfilled, you can sustain that into adulthood, such that when you have a need, and it would be normal for someone on this show to want loyalty or preference with the person that they're connecting with. But with enough maturity and development, you would recognize, but there's another person in that person's life, and I'm not the only person in the universe. My feelings aren't the only thing that matter.
Mad, but I realized that Brittany is who my heart wanted, who my heart has always wanted. I told the producers in the morning to cancel our date.
So it's looking like the Rolex watch thing, where there's no reason to tell Hannah about this. On paper, he's saying, which isn't great, he wants Hannah to be an ally. Tell Brittany this sort of stuff. But there's another possibility that he is really wanting Hannah to know, I was going to dump you. I mean, he clearly really wants her to know that because he's really laying it on thick. Might even be wanting the cameras to know that, right? Because for him to be dumped, then that isn't him being superior.
It's not what you told me last night.
I'm not here trying to talk to you about Brittany. All I can tell you is I just hope that she chooses me.
Yeah, that's y'all's business.
Yeah.
Because
and I know that you and Nick are perfect for each other.
And Hannah's being very healthy. It's it's not what we said last night, but that's y'all's business. It's not my business. So good luck. And then he does what looks to be manipulative, complimenting. You guys are perfect for each other. You guys are going to be great.
I know we're perfect for each other.
He's a stud, by the way. You lucked out.
I don't care if he was the ugliest man in the world.
That's
I
not
don't
what
care
I
if
meant.
he literally made $0. I don't care if he's weird, whatever. Just who he is as a person. I know.
Stand up and walk out, Hannah. Just leave. There's no. I don't want to watch any more of this.
Decisions because I don't have your conversation, so I'm not going to go in there and be like, he chose you or whatever. I'm not going to discuss it any further with her because it's not my business. It's y'all's.
That's what scares me is I'm not trying, we don't have to talk about it anymore.
Yeah.
We don't have to talk about it anymore. I think we're both clear-headed about it. I'm really glad that you found your one.
Me too.
He's the one for you.
I know he is.
I think he is very insecure. I think Leo is very insecure. Everyone has their insecurities, but I think he is exhibiting, particularly right now, a ton of insecurity. I think he genuinely is worried that Brittany won't say yes to him, and there's a chance that she won't. She might have reached her limit. I, as a civilian, would be bummed about that because I would be really curious how they would do in person. But I don't know. A lot is pointing towards Brittany saying yes.
And I found mine.
That's cool, man.
I don't wanna see it anymore. Feeling good, walking out the.
All right, well, I want to remind everyone that psychology in Seattle is, for the most part, carbon neutral. We operate on solar power. This home office, is primarily powered by solar that's on the roof. Also, the other electricity on the grid in Seattle is mainly renewable and sustainable sources, a lot of hydro and wind and solar. So if that matters to you, which it would to me, I thought you should know that. And everyone out there, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.